Prophet martial occurrence. So the gang stalkers, these gang stalkers, did not produce life. They was not about life. Anything that is not of life will produce death, ultimately. That's just how it goes. The gang stalkers did not produce life. They were not for life. You can't listen to their information and philosophies of life and worldviews. All of that is Jedi mind tricks. The bottom line is they did not produce life as gang stalkers. All this stuff they've been doing in our community, all this stuff did it produce life? No, it did not. It didn't produce life. So all it can produce is death. So how you know how this is supposed to go, how you can, what you base it on is, what does it produce? What does this stuff produce? And besides our biased opinion, besides how you want to feel about it and how I feel about it, I think we all can settle on certain dynamics, certain things that just make sense. Spiritual common sense. Like, I'm going to do a video on it. I'm going to do a video on that. Spiritual common sense. What does not produce life is going to produce death, ultimately. And it definitely applies in this situation with gang stalkers. All this stuff they doing, monitoring our minds, playing around our minds, playing with the community, everybody tired of it. Look at it for what it is. Look how it is. It did not produce life. So how it's gonna produce life if it didn't produce it? I'm just good as a New Yorker. I'm just good with these punchlines. You gotta excuse me to make people look stupid. How it's gonna produce life if it didn't produce life? Huh? It didn't produce life. How it's gonna produce it? What you gotta understand is this, bro. These people do not do things as they project themselves to do it. They project themselves with these worldviews like they about life. They're about living life and living good and success and making money and getting bread and all of that. But to think like that in its full entirety, you have to incorporate a foundation of life to even enjoy those things, for those things to be even enjoyed. You have to have to enjoy money, you got to have a foundation of life. You can't just have money and death is all around. The threats of death is all around. You can't have money and just have the threats of death everywhere. Okay, so with money, success, or all the things we want, we have to still have a foundation of life. And as gang stalkers, they cannot have foundations of life when they're gang stalking. That's in the world of karma. Even if they have some type of fluke type of foundation of life, your karma is going to destroy that foundation of life through gang stalking. So because they gang stalk, your foundation of life is destroyed. That's how you need to hear it right there. That's how you need to hear it. They destroyed their foundation of life in their personal lives and their collective secret society lives. They destroyed their foundation for life through gang stalking. That's how they did it. And it ain't no way in the world that foundation is going to be the same and look the same and be what it is in the spiritual world, which means you're going to have death coming because of the gang stalking. as a collective community. You're not going to be able to manipulate that. See, back in the day, before this spiritual awakening, people could manipulate karma to a certain degree. And I think in my case, being here in America, Americans are quick to think that they can manipulate karma. Well, we can do something, but we don't have to have the repercussions for it. But what I believe is after this spiritual awakening, people are not getting away with nothing. They're not getting away with anything. And so they got an old school perspective based on white America, when white America was just killing black people, just killing people, just beating people down, and nothing really happened to them. And this is the reason why some people turn from Christianity, spirituality, from Christianity and God, because they feel like, why didn't God do anything about it? Some things I can't explain. I can't explain it all. But I know also that in the Bible, people suffered. God's people suffered, and they died. I know that the Hebrews went through slavery in Egypt, and Moses came and set them free. I know that, but they had to go through it though. They had to go through hardships. They had to go through oppression. And Pharaoh was an oppressor. He wasn't just a slave owner. We see how he interacted with Moses, that he was an oppressor. So you do see God's people suffering in the Bible. And I'll just leave it at that. And it's a part of the human experience, unfortunately. It's a part of man falling from grace, unfortunately. It's a part of man being in sin that humanity suffers as a result. And that's the mature outlook on it. In the hands of humanity, we're going to suffer. We're going to suffer. But ultimately, we don't sell our souls. We don't curse God. When we see people, even when you go on YouTube sometimes, you see people eating all that good food. You're like, why can't I have that? Why can't I have all these real delicious foods? People living it up, eating real good. And you got to say, even with food, you got to say, I ain't going to curse God for why I don't have it. Why I don't have those things, I'm still not going to curse God. Even though I don't have this, I don't have jewelry, I don't have these clothes, I don't have these, these cars and everything, this excessive stuff that we see, the material things we see online, you still got to be, in 2026, you got to be the type of Christian to say, I'm not going to curse God or sell my soul to get it. It's easy to think like that as a human. You see all this stuff people enjoying, and you're totally out of touch with that experience. You don't enjoy none of that. You don't have none of that. And it's easy to almost feel like, why can't God just give me that? Why can't he just do it? Why can't he just do it? If he's so powerful, why can't he just do it? That's what your humanity is going to tell you. And like I said, I cannot answer all things, but I will tell you this. We're in the hands, while you think you're in the hands of God, you're in the hands of man. and a lot of people that acknowledge God, you kind of downgrade the strength of the grip of man over your life, which means his vibration and his spirituality is also over your life, all around your life. The vibration of these Americans, these oppressive people, it's all around, and that has spiritual reciprocity. It breeds wicked eggs of oppression, and you can't seem like you can't get ahead because You got these wicked vibrations all around you that don't want you to do it. See, I'm a firm believer that I think that in the world of witchcraft, I think racist people was using witchcraft against black people. Now that we in this final hour, in these final wars, understanding witchcraft and everything, we see how it's done collectively against us and God's people. And if you've been gang stalked, you've seen how it works, right? You see how they do it all against us, casting it from their cars. If you don't know, you got some witches. If you're being gang stalked, you got witches that cast witchcraft from their cars against you, right? We understand how it's working. You see witches everywhere, all around. People constructing altars against you. People trying to put work on you from different denominations of witchcraft: hoodoo, voodoo, santeria, brujeria, and every obia, Europa from Africa. All forms of witchcraft trying to be used against you. You don't think racist white people in America was cursing black people this whole time? That's my question to you. For the listeners, think about what I'm saying. Think about how the world is full of possibilities, right? How easy it is for something to just be done. Anything that comes to the mind, probably is already done, right? An intellectual highbrow will agree with that. Anything that I can think about, somebody already done it. Because I'm human and they human, and it's not too far-fetched what I'm thinking from other humans in the human experience and what it consists of in the context of all the things that is going on, these different dynamics in our community. It's no way in the world you could tell me these racist white people did not use witchcraft against black people. They did. They did. I want to do a whole video about it. I think I already did on my other page. Because what I believe is racist witchcraft people, just like the gang stalkers, they were passing by the hood and cursing the hood. Like you see these people, these secret societies, how they ride past our neighborhood when they looking for me, when they looking for you, when they looking for high-ranking targets. Can you imagine that the same format was done against black people? Where they went and throw witchcraft in the hood, and that's why we were shooting each other, killing each other. We couldn't explain it, how we hated each other. Because one of the signs of witchcraft is hostility towards others. One of the symptoms that your witchcraft is being used against you is you're hostile towards others. You're arguing. You're hateful towards others. You want to kill other people. That's how you know witchcraft is being used against you. If you start feeling all those feelings and it don't really add up. It don't add up. Most likely it's witchcraft. That's those are the symptoms, some of the symptoms of witchcraft. Hostility towards others. You want to kill people. You want to kill them same people. You're separate from them people. You can't come together. Look how we couldn't come together as a community. I believe we did not consider the spirituality in the situation. Nope. We ain't even think about it. Many of you that have even had spiritual awakenings have not even thought or pondered the fact that maybe white America, the racist white Americans, used witchcraft against the community. And we ain't have no resistance because we wasn't spiritually strong. So think about it. Look at the mindset of these crazy people that's gang stalking us. You don't think racist white people was like that? They was just like that. They was just as bugged out and persistent. They was bugged out and persistent, just like these gang stalkers. So with that being said, you don't think they using witchcraft against us? You don't think they was using witchcraft in the past? Yes, they was. All in the 90s, all in the 80s, all in the 70s. They was using witchcraft against the communities. I firmly believe that. When you understand spirituality, especially when you go to war with these people, you know how they move. You know how they do things, right? So if you're being gang stalked, if you the viewers are being gang stalked, right? You know how these people move, right? Trying to curse you everywhere you go, trying to curse you in public, trying to curse you as you walk by them, whatever. You don't think that same format was used against Black America in the past? So nobody thought about it. That's what you want me to believe. You want me to believe that nobody thought about it. No white people think of, imagine that. Imagine no racist white people thought about cursing Black people with witchcraft. So here's the bottom line. You either believe or don't believe that white America, racist white America, used witchcraft against the Black community. What you believe? You don't think they tried that? You don't think they tried that? Yes or no? Now that you understand what it is, you don't think they ever tried to put it on us. You don't think they ever, you don't think they ever tried to put it on our famous people, all these rappers, these singers, like Aaliyah, Tupac, and Biggie. You don't think racist white people was gunning for them? Think about it. Now we understand witchcraft and the misfortune that it brings. Look at all our most promising, famous stars. You know what I think? The racist white Americans put witchcraft on the famous stars. While you always blaming some secret society, you know what I think? You know what I think? I think ultimately racist white people was seeing those very famous people, those promising people, the ones that's the most famous, those the ones that died, right? You telling me nobody ain't try to curse them people? Nobody ain't try to curse Tupac with witchcraft. Nobody ain't so you don't think now you see what I'm saying? Now you're opening your mind up to the whole spiritual world that was around us this whole time. We see it now. Now I'm trying to get you to apply it to the past. Because it was always the ones that stuck out, which means a racist white person cursed the people that they seen on TV. Oh, Tupac was on TV. If not anything else, the movies. Remember the movies he was in? All the movies he was in? You don't think nobody tried to curse him? Of course, man. Biggie too. Biggie on the radio, all that stuff. You see, you didn't really think that the racist ops, was all investigating all the famous people. You see what I'm saying? You didn't think that they went that far. You remain simple-minded. But militarily, on a sophisticated level, don't you think that they would have went and seen who we love and who we care about? Who we are entertained by? And you don't think they used no witchcraft against them? I do believe they did. Because to this day, it still is a funny vibe when you think about all these people that done died. It's like, how did it happen? We just keep thinking about it over and over again. Tupac, Biggie. Like I said, one of the signs of witchcraft is hostility towards others, want to fight others and beat up each other and hurt each other. Look how Pac beat up that dude, and then he wind up dying for it, right? I think that could have easily, anybody that understand witchcraft, that could have easily been witchcraft against Tupac. And it ain't no paper trails, ain't no smoking gun. Racist white America could have easily used that throughout the years, and nobody would have ever suspected it. And what you gonna say if they doing it? Especially America. What America gonna do about it? Nothing. They ain't gonna do nothing about no racist white people using witchcraft against our community. But it was always the ones that stuck out. Aaliyah. You don't think nobody tried? I think somebody tried. You gotta remember, man, there's hateful people that no matter how beautiful we are in spirit and physical form, they just hate us, bro. And you can't tell me nobody ain't try to put Witchcraft on Left Eye. Look how Left Eye died. Look how all these people died. We left out in our carnal, worldly, tangible, material world mentality. We left out spirituality in the real world on our people. We left out the spiritual war in the 90s and the 80s and all of that. Where I believe racist white people was using witchcraft against us. But they was able to manipulate karma from all that they was doing. That's how I got started on this subject. They was able to manipulate karma to a certain degree. And I've done videos about this. America, the only reason America has not been defeated is because it's an island. It's an island. It's surrounded by water on both sides. That's the reason. If it was like Europe and they were surrounded by other countries on all sides, somebody would have been invaded America. So military-minded people understand this. The only reason we haven't been invaded and defeated by other countries throughout the centuries was because we were surrounded as like an island by water. Look at the geographics. Look at the geographics. Even to this day, how's somebody going to invade America without us knowing about it in advance? There's too much water that separates us from the old world. That's one of the most great rewards of being in the new world, is that we're separated from the old world. All those old countries that was ancient in ancient time, China, Egypt, Russia, and all them places, Africa, we're separated from the old world by water. So that's the reason why we ain't defeated. That's the only reason. And I believe that's also part of the reason we can manipulate karma. This country can manipulate karma. Because who's gonna come do something about it? If they do all this stuff against us, who gonna come to do something about it? Nobody came to our rescue. Keep in mind, China, Russia, none of them, Europe, nobody helped us when we was being oppressed by the Americans. Nobody helped us. And I just say that respectfully though. Nobody helped us. None of these countries came to our rescue when we was being discriminated against, when it was intense killing and everything. Nobody separated us from the white Americans. They just didn't care about the Americans, and they didn't care about us either. That's just how it was. But yeah, I believe they was cursing black people this whole time. I believe they still doing it. I believe, especially more than ever. Now, my next question, here's the punchline. You don't think racist white people trying to curse us now as black people? Especially now, with all these bugged out, crazy gang stalkers and witchcraft people. You don't think it's none of them that's trying to curse key people that's black? Key entertainers. Look at how the entertainers were dying throughout the years. You don't think there's witchcraft people using witchcraft against black people? So you think throughout the whole history, I'm just tripping. Nobody ain't try to do witchcraft against black people. That was racist. I'm just tripping. Come on, man. You know better than that, man. This was a whole culture of racism. This was a whole culture of racist culture and racist people. And they was using spirituality. We can agree on that, right? They had some form of witchcraft and spirituality. Of course they did. And if they was racist, who you think they gonna use it against? Being that they was racist, they gonna use it against black people all day. You already know that. They gonna turn right around and use it against us. They gonna turn right around and use it against us. And I think they turning right around right now and using it against us right now. I think they still doing it right now. Yep. I think they still cursing us right now. Yes, sir. I think they cursing our neighborhoods. I think they cursing our stars. I think they cursing. You can look at all these white people that love us, but that's not gonna change these other people over here. That's all in the woods, in the sticks, in the boondocks that just hate black people. They still out there, bro. In 2026. They're using witchcraft, of course. And you don't think they're going to use their craft against black people and key black people in the industry, in the music industry, in the entertainment industry. See, you got to consider all of that. See, you consider physical harm. You didn't consider spiritual harm. You considered the physical harm that racist white people could do, but you didn't consider the spiritual harm at all. When it comes to that, you basically, as a community, have been on novice amateur levels of your understanding. When these people practice high black arts, the dark arts, black belts in witchcraft, they're spiritual black belts in witchcraft. You don't think none of them think about, now you see what I'm saying. This explains a lot, because here you don't have a smoking gun. They can just use these spiritual black belts in witchcraft and curse us as a community. And what people gonna say? How they really know, that you're targeting these people? How they know? Now you see what I'm saying? I think it's been a whole world of it. We always considered the physical harm that white America could do to us. We never considered the spiritual harm they could do to us, using witchcraft and everything like that. I think they did it. Yes, sir. I think they did it. Absolutely. Absolutely. And they manipulated karma back in the day. They did. Through this country being an island with water on both sides, how anybody gonna come get us? So really what we boast of as far as strength of America really was because we were surrounded by water. If we would have been like Europe or any other country, we would have been invaded. You agree with that? If we was like Europe, you don't think America would have been invaded? It's covered by land on all sides. All military minded people know it would have been invaded. Ain't no way around it. It's gonna come from somewhere. We just don't know where and when. But if you're surrounded by water, that's why it was good. It was good. It was kosher for America. Everything was kosher. You know what I'm saying? As far as enemies, invasions, and all of that. As far as enemy invasions, So these people that you have to admit it, man, that really gang stalking is really next generation. I mean, white supremacy. It's white privilege. If it was Arab men from the Middle East, you think they'd be letting them run around gang stalking? No. FBI, CIA, all them people, police, they'll nip that in the bud. They won't have, listen, that's how you know. When you live in America, you know how Americans think, right? You don't try to think the best. You think like how it is. I'm from North Carolina. I think how it is. I just go by what it is. If it was Arab men gang stalking, looking like Muslims with their whole Muslim robes and everything, head garments and everything, women look at Muslims, and they running around America gang stalking like they did us, like white America did us and black America did us. If it was Arab men that was doing that, they wouldn't have allowed it. No. And that's why I consider it white entitlement and black entitlement specifically. And Hispanic and Latinos piggybacked off of white entitlement and black entitlement because of how they basically paid their dues as far as working and labor. That's how I see it. That's why they was able to gang stalk us too, Hispanic and Latinos, because they paid their dues as far as working and everything. So they was able to come in and kind of piggyback off of what black people and white people was doing dominantly through gang stalking. It was black and white people. It was black entitlement and white entitlement. There is a form of black entitlement where black people can just do what they want to do and there's no repercussions. They can just do what they want to do, and nobody, because of what we went through slavery and discrimination, there's some black people that can just do what they want to do, and that's black entitlement. That's basically, in essence, my perspective on black entitlement. White entitlement is just free for all. They can just do what they want to do, period. You know, but like I said, if it was Arab men that look like Muslims, like Osama bin Laden with long beards, you think they gonna let them gang stalk man in America? No. No. So then if the smart person realized that it is about race after all, because it's certain races that can do this stuff. It's not every race that can do it. It's not that any man can do it. So because it's specific races of people that can do it, then you have to say it's a race situation. It's just what it is. That's why we consider this a race war. It is. It is a race war. Because many of you are only being gang stalked because you're black or you're white. If you wasn't black or you wasn't white, and you was maybe Indian or Chinese, why would they wouldn't be gang stalking you? And I'm not saying no Chinese people ain't being gang stalked. I'm not saying you know, Indian people from India ain't being gang stalked. But who is it most? It's black and white people being gang stalked more than anybody else. So you ain't gonna feel like it's about your race. Why wouldn't you feel that way? I do. I don't think they would gang stalk no Chinese man if he ain't doing nothing. I don't think the community would do it. I must put it like this. I don't think black people would do it. I don't think black people would gang stalk no Chinese man if he was under the suspicion that he was a pedophile. But he minded his business. You seen him with a woman. You seen him work. You kind of see him working. Even you seen him doing normal stuff. Black people gonna get discouraged. They gonna say, nah, that Chinese man ain't doing nothing. And you gonna let it go. And I know that. I know that if I was Chinese or Indian, you would have let it go. So I ain't gonna think it's a race war in that form too. Besides your white privilege or black privilege, it's also on my side. It's a race war because you wouldn't do this to Chinese people. I don't think so. No, you wouldn't. Not collectively. You'll be gang stalking Chinese people collectively or Indian people. See, I describe it like this. Every race of people have an assignment in America, and their assignment is too important. Like the Indians in India, they become scientists, doctors, everything in between like that. So you're treated in America based on your vocation, based on your assignment collectively as a community. Because us as black people, we don't really have no assignment anymore. Our assignment has been given to Hispanic and Latinos. The only reason we're here is to buy rich black people's goods and their merchandise and their movies and et cetera, et cetera. That's the only reason we are allowed to be here. But that's not enough even for the stupid person that don't realize that. The smart people realize that. That's why we're here. We're allowed to be here. But for some stupid people, they don't see no reason for us to be here. Like so therefore they don't care how they treat us. You're treated in America according to your assignment. Your race that you are. They look at you and they see an Indian man. They ain't gonna do nothing to him. They see a Chinese person, a man, a Chinese woman. But most black people ain't gonna gang stalk no Chinese woman. For what? They're too removed kind of from our culture. That's what it is. But I'm familiar with the culture because I'm black. Or you know what I mean? My likeness is in the culture. Makes sense? Their likeness is not in the culture. So it's easy to just kind of like ignore him as a Chinese man or Indian man and just let him go. Nah, he ain't doing that. But me, because I'm a black man, and I'm used to seeing that on TV and the culture, and you used to black people being tough and machos and everything like that. It's easy to just say, okay, what he want to do. You know what I'm saying? That kind of attitude. Challenging me, seeing if I want to challenge you. It's easy to have that kind of attitude and demeanor with me. Now, a Chinese man, because he's not really part of the American culture, like in the middle of it, right? It's easy to just dismiss him and say, nah, he ain't doing that. He ain't doing that. But the bottom line is this, man. These people played with us, and they made a foundation of death for themselves. That's what they did. They made a foundation of death for themselves, and ain't nobody can do nothing about it. You know what I'm saying? You can't come out here and do death through gang stalking. You're doing death through gang stalking, going out here talking and going out here in the community all over the country. They follow me from California, New York, North Carolina, Florida, Georgia. You know what I'm saying? And when I was going cross country from through the Greyhound, they gang stalked me the whole way back and forth from California to North Carolina, from North Carolina to California, back and forth. The whole circuit where I had layovers and all of that, all gang stalked. I was gang stalked the whole way. If you've been through the Greyhound, you know they gang stalk you the whole way. Because I was going through cross country, they gang stalked me all the whole way. Can you imagine that? And I weathered that perfectly. No mistakes. All kind of crazy stuff. All kind of crazy stuff. People sitting with their children in my seats. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't even packed. But they was doing it to trigger my mind with children in the seats. Like I'm stupid. You know, all kind of stuff. Putting me around people so I'll be triggered and have conversations with certain people, trying to try me with certain people around me to try to see me incriminate myself in conversations with people and all kind of stuff like that. I called everything, man. And that's the foundation of death. That's how you know it's going to happen. That's how you know it ain't no way out of it. You know, because they made a good pavement of death, like cement pavement. They made a good driveway of death. Good old driveway of death, buddy. And so the spiritual mathematics behind it is you can't do death and get life. You can't. So besides how everybody feel, the spiritual part. See, the spiritual part of life is just left out, man, and that's what dictates everything. When you look at the spiritual part of life in this situation with the gang stalking, whether you, as Americans and other people in the world, agree with these people, think they're cool or whatever you think, you forgot about the spiritual aspect. For their gang stalking, that's not going to produce nothing but death. And you can like them, vouch for them, whatever, but death is coming. I mean, it's part of doing death out into the community. It's spiritual reciprocity. It's reap what you sow. It has to happen. You know, so, you know, be assured, you know, that these people going to suffer. They laid a foundation of death and there's no way around it. So for God's true people, salute. Over and out.